to jump the deal here. Good evening. Welcome to the regular meeting of the Nacogdoches Independent School District Board of Trustees. Let the record show that a quorum of board members is present and that notice of this meeting has been legally posted in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act. Board member T.D. Howarth called and he is sick badly, can't come. And Russell Smith tried to get here, but he is caught in court out of another town or out of state. He's actually out of state. Please remember that the items do not have to be taken in the order shown on the agenda, and please join us in turning off your cell phones or switching them to the silent mode. Okay. With that, we're going to turn to Reverend Irvin for our invocation.
Thank you. And we pray. Father, we're so thankful for this opportunity to serve our community. We thank you for the stakeholders who have their hearts and hands on the pulse of this district, who've expressed their love and concern for our staff and for our faculty. We pray for their strength. Then we want to thank you for TD and for Susan and Zeke for the years of service that they have given to this district and to this community. And we pray for your continued blessings upon them. Guide us throughout this evening, that our decisions, the things that we do, may be done to give you glory and to give you honor. Again, we say thank you. This we ask in the name of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. I'm going to turn it now over to Mr. Moulton.
Good evening, President Green, board members, and Superintendent Dowdy. We have some representatives here from our Model United Nations at McMichael, and I want to, before they introduce themselves and before one of our sponsors introduces herself, I want to just kind of tell a couple things about them. McMichael's Model United Nations attended our Region 7 Model UIL competition with 56 delegates participating and representing 10 different countries. Most of the schools that they go to compete against only come with 2 or 3 countries that they represent. We actually had 10. McMichael received all the awards in both the digital presentation and best overall delegations. In addition, they took first place for impromptu resolution writing, second place for resolution writing, third place for 3-dimensional maps, and third for collage. For the individual committee medallion awards, McMichael brought home 5 out of the 6 first places, 3 second, and 3 third places. McMichael's Model United Nations team also received the top honors by winning the best overall trophy and the best novice delegation trophy. And this is the second year in a row that McMichael has been able to take home those top honors. So maybe we're trying to get a dynasty going.
Good.
Hopefully better than the Patriots. Finally, 3 delegates were chosen for leadership positions, including Andrew Nicholas, Cammie Hathaway, who received co-chair positions, and special honor went to Nicole Bowman, who received the position of Secretary General. This is the highest position for our Model United Nations organization. Our adult facilitators were Ms. Makatura, Ms. Howe, and Ms. Almendarez. In March, we actually had 19 delegates and 4 sponsors who got to go to New York City right at the beginning of spring break, and got to actually go to the United Nations, 9/11 Memorial, Statue of Liberty, Ellis Island, a lot of other things they got to do. It's supposed to be 3 days, or 4 days and 3 nights, but y'all may remember what happened in New York at the beginning of spring break. We had a snowstorm, or they had a snowstorm, so the students, they were too upset of actually getting to stay in New York another day. They had snowball fights in Central Park, snow angels sliding down the hills. They had a good time. Me and Ms. Makatura, Ms. Howe, who else? Renee and Miss Dowdy. We're all trying to figure out how we're going to get these guys back home. Also, then we have one more event that's coming on May 11th and 13th at the, it's called Gimmons Global Elementary Model United Nations Conference. This is in Dallas. We're actually going to have 36 more delegates attending this conference. We'll be representing our countries that we'll be representing are Israel, Pakistan, Panama, and Poland. So I'm going to turn it over to one of our sponsors, let her introduce herself, and then let the kids introduce themselves.
I'm Sue McIntyre, and I'm the sponsor of Monty Wren, and it has been a pleasure and an honor to do so in these past years. I want to introduce my kids to you. First of all, come who you are.
Hi, my name is Cami Hathaway, and I'm in the 8th grade at McMichael.
Hi, I'm Nicole Bowman, and I'm in 8th grade at McMichael.
Hello, my name is Andrew Nicholas, and I'm in 8th grade at McMichael.
And these were the three who did receive the leadership positions at UAM.
Can we stand for the pledges? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Honor the
Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
And I want to recognize, if you have any parents that are here, thank you, guys.
We're proud of you guys.
Thank you.
The next portion of our agenda is a recognition portion, and tonight, board members give us an opportunity to recognize our outgoing board members. I would like to recognize first Susan Rushing, 6 years of service. She was a board member from 2008 to 2011, and then again from 2014 to 2017. She was board secretary 2010 to 2011, and then again 2014 to 2017. We'd like to we're going to put a plaque and give them a plaque in just a minute, but let's recognize Ms. Rushing.
Thank you, Susan.
And I'm sorry that Ms. Howard TD could not be here tonight because he had 12 years of service, continuous service, from 2005 to 2017. And even though he's not here, I think he deserves a round. And finally, we have Mr. Martinez, Zeke Martinez, 9 years of service. He was board member from 2005 to 2011, and then again 2014 to 2017. Vice president from 2007 to 2010, and then board president 2010 to 2011.
Thank you, Zeke.
Thank you.
Come on, come out front.
Honor reads in the front.
Yeah,
Us hold it.
First, I'm gonna hand this.
Oh, thank you. Gentlemen, outside her.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The next portion is public comments. This is the time which the board has set aside to receive citizen comments. Individuals wishing to address the board should have completed the form located on the table by the entrance door and provided it to me or Mrs. Anderson prior to the meeting. We do have 5 individuals have signed up to speak tonight concerning Coach Gary Hall. As president, I'd like to utilize points of privilege and make some introductory comments before we begin. First, I want to say how pleased I am that we had and how great it is to see how enthusiasm and support for our extracurricular program. We welcome your attendance tonight and promise that we will listen intently to your remarks. As a component of public comment, I remind our board members and the audience that we cannot respond to questions. So our policy reads as follows. Specific factual information or recitation of existing policy may be furnished in response to inquiries, but the board shall not deliberate or decide regarding any subject that is not included on the agenda posted and notice of the meeting. With that said, I can only talk about 2 things, policy and facts. First, our policy. In this instance, the particular policy at play is our resignation policy, DFE, local, which provides that resignations that are effective at the end of the year are accepted automatically upon receipt. It is not the superintendent's decision whether to accept or reject a resignation, nor does she have the authority to allow an employee to withdraw a resignation. Once received, our policy provides that the resignation can be withdrawn only by the actions of the board. This is not unique to NISD, but is a TASB-approved policy in use by the majority of districts in Texas. So I want to address 3 facts specifically. Fact 1, I can tell you that this board has received no request that a resignation be withdrawn. Our role will be limited to accepting or rejecting the superintendent's recommendation regarding the selection of a new teacher coach for the basketball program whenever that recommendation is made. Fact 2, I can confirm that Coach Hall has applied for the position. I have no information concerning the number of applicants, screening process, interview schedule, or selection of candidates. Those are all administrative matters. I can only tell you that once a recommendation for hire is made by the board, by Mrs. Dowdy, the board will carefully consider all aspects of the position and the candidate's suitability to meet the needs of the district. Fact 3, whether an individual coaches 1 or 2 sports, what the individual teaches and other scheduling matters are also administrative decisions that this board is not involved with. Unless or until the decision impacts student outcomes and the academic success of our children, utilizing the budget process to redirect resources to best serve our IR campuses is how we oversee the management of the district. This is what we have learned in our Lone Star governance training. So with this facts and policy statements in mind, we can now begin the public comment portion of the meeting. Recall, we only have 30 minutes devoted for public comments, and policy requires that groups of 5 or more delegates delegate a spokesperson. In this instance, I think the board would be agreeable to one student representative, a parent representative, but I can see by the list that y'all have presented at this point, y'all have probably already done that. Finally, I will read our rules pertaining to public comments. Comments will be kept to a maximum of 3 minutes. Groups of 5 or more individuals having the same concerns shall have a single spokesman for the group. The board reminds speakers that this open forum is not the time to place or bring board complaints about a particular program or a particular employee. The board has adopted specific complaint policies and specific procedures for presenting those complaints. The board cannot respond to comments in the open forum, but it can inform you of policies and complaint procedures available under board policy. The board expects the speakers will maintain decorum and that the audience will refrain from disruptive actions. Forms will be considered on a first-come, first-served basis, and the total time allotted for this portion of the meeting is 30 minutes. Michael Martin will keep time for us, and I will call to the speaker's attention should their time expire. With that said, Mr. Martin, do you have your clock?
Yes, sir.
Ready to go. I will call the names as they appear on the agenda. The first person is going to be Vanessa Hooper, and following her will be Nicholas Smith. You may come.
Thank you. Is that okay? Yours can come.
Yes, but you have to be the spokesman.
Okay. Well, they'll be coming too, so.
Okay.
I know there's a concern about Coach Hall, and I know I should be in front of the microphone, but I don't do microphones very well. I just want to tell you a story about my son. He's not here at this time. He is at an all-star game. He played basketball. I want to tell you about past, because he said we have a representative. We have someone that'll talk logistics, we'll have students, and then we have myself that's going to tell you past to present. My son played basketball here at Nacogdoches High School for 3 years in varsity. He's been here 4 years, and he didn't have a very good couple of years. Not because just of the losing, but there were some issues with his coach. And he bared down on me. There were lots of things, and I took it to the principal, I took it to the athletic director, and I got, you shouldn't be fighting for your son. You should let him be a man. And so that was a difficult time for him. I mean, he was beat down on a regular basis. I had coaches in this district stop me and ask me why my son had done something wrong. And if anybody here knows my son, he does not do, I don't know where he came from, because I'm the fighter. And so he never gets into trouble. He never has any problems of any kind. And this man, he was beat down all the time. So in the middle of the season, I said, Jordan, what do you want to do? This is not this year, but this is the year before. What do you want to do? And he says, Mom, that's okay, because God put him in my life to make me stronger. He put him in my life for a reason. I am going to reap the benefits later. This summer, we got that benefit. And so I know some things happened. I know some things were said, or resignations, or those kinds of things, and maybe some hurt feelings. But he taught me something that day. I wanted to go fight. I wanted to go beat everybody down. You know, don't hurt my kid. But I didn't. And because I was following and lead with him. This summer, we met a man, Coach Hall. He taught my child something. He taught him leadership. He taught him family. He taught him a lot of things that he never got before in the other realms. He's been in a lot of sports. Not that they couldn't give it to him, but there was a connection. He's built something today here, and it needs to stay. You guys talked about Carpenter Elementary. Last week I kind of caught a little bit of that, but coming in to see Superintendent Dottie. And you talked about how breaking that campus up would lose ground. You talked about how that campus needed the power of 3. You said that first we need to get everybody on board and get everything and get all our regulations in place. Then with staffing, then regulations and rules, and get started on some things. And then third one was then you had a final goal, and we could see success. We got to see success the first year. And so now we're asking you guys to help us with this. I know you're not able to change any policies, but I want you to consider for Superintendent Dottie or the principal administrator to please reenact or please put his resignation back in or rescind his resignation. And if we're not gonna do that, please understand that we don't wanna lose this ground. We've lost so much in the last 3 or 4 years here with Nacogdoches Independent School District basketball. They can tell you how we have the band there. I used to be the only one that came to games, away games. And now, everyone is there. And it's not about the game, it's about the community. And we have never had that before. Let's keep the community going. We don't want to lose.
Nicholas, is this Nicholas?
This is Nicholas.
Jacoby Caraway, okay, go ahead.
To everybody on the school board, thank you for letting us get this time to talk about our coach and how we appreciate it. First, I want to talk about, I don't even want to talk about like the resignation or anything or have any questions about that. I just want to talk about what he did for us and what he did for us as individuals and as teammates. Last year, well, y'all know about last year, it wasn't so good. We had 1 win, 3 wins. He changed the culture in like 1 year. He told us when he first got here, he was like, I'm not looking to beat anybody down. That's not the type of person I am. I want to build us up and change the culture of Nacogdoches basketball. He said he wanted to make the high school a basketball school, and in 1 year, that's what he did. He said, for him as a coach, to me as one person, he changed like the way I look at stuff on the court now. Like I don't think too much on the court now. I think about winning and building my teammates up and making us stronger. He brought the culture of family together. In the locker room it says, well, on our shirts, and in the locker room it says one team, one heartbeat, and that's how we operate. Most of our team is not here right now. We got Nana in the back. We got Jacoby Caraway right here. That's a big man on the team right there. But anyway, Coach, I could go on and on about how he's led us and made us better men and everything like that, but he changed he's like a father figure on the court, basically. Like we read and react off him. What y'all see on Tuesday and Friday nights, that comes from him. Like he feeds energy into us and makes us do what we do on the court. It's like, have you ever played with a puppet? It's kind of like you just move him how you want him to. That's how he acts with us. So when you see us getting loud and us rowdy, that's him. We're like a miniature image of him. And so, basically what I'm trying to say is the culture that he has created and the mindset that we have, we don't even think about losing anymore. I think in district we lost our first game in Jacksonville. He told us after that first game, he was like, we either gonna change it or we're gonna have a repeat of last year. Last two games? Yeah, we only lost 2 games in district. We only lost 2 games, I think, at home all year. 1 game at home. So, I mean, you know, it's been a long year. But all the attitude that we have and all about winning, it all comes from him. I mean, the way he treats us, the way he acts around us, it's not like we think about him as like an older version of us, but like in a younger body, in an older body. But
Before he gets started, Patty, Patty,
Yes, sir.
is that you? Oh, you're next.
Before Jacoby?
No, you're after him.
Oh, okay.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Jacoby Caraway. Most of y'all know me. I play for Nacogdoches today. Coach Hodge is my coach. But I came here today to let people hear my voice. Coach Hodge is one of the best coaches that ever came in my life and changed it. After my uncle died, he was supposed to open the spot. Before that, I was getting all kinds of trouble. Every day he came, he took the time out and got to know each other. He told me things that I never heard before. He inspired me. When Coach Howard first got to knowing us, he made a statement about some of the teammates weren't getting along. We showed that we can have it in the Dragons locker room. We want to have this winning team. A winning team has to have respect, trust, and most important, care. Those two things are what a team needs. Everybody has much respect for him because he showed us how to be a family, respect each other in and out of school. And that's what made us a better family. He didn't know our potential just yet. As we got through the season more, he saw we had a lot of talent. He actually helped us bring our talent out. He took us from a 1 and 27 losing streak to a 24 and 10 winning streak and deep into playoff. He had honestly changed the culture for the school, and not only the school, he changed a lot of people's lives just by sitting down and talking with them. The team made a bond with the coach. I know he made a mistake, everybody makes a mistake, and that's just life. But I feel that I need to say he should deserve a second chance, just like we all had a once in a lifetime. But I want to thank all the supporters and a very special thank you to Coach Hall for being here for me and the team. We really need it. That's all I have to say for you guys. Thank you. Have a good day.
Penny Holloway will be after Patty.
I'll use my classroom voice, how's that? First of all, I want to say thank you to the board and Ms. Dowdy for having us, allowing us some time today. But I probably should have done first. I have a few facts, and I just kind of want to let everyone that is not aware of the situation kind of give you some facts of what's going on. First of all, Coach Hall came to us back in July of last year, and I, like the boys have said, and by the way, the rest of the team, we have an all-star game tonight, we have baseball practice, we have kids that are on this team that are involved in a lot of other things, so don't think that we're lacking representation. You all are here, and thank you so much. But I want to kind of go off of fact number 4, I believe, Mr. Green, you said, we're sending, first of all, successful students. That's what we're here for. And, you know, let me give myself an amen on that, because that's what we're all here for. That's what I'm about in my teaching position. That's what that guidance meeting is all about. You can see there's Team Excellence all over the walls, all of our mottos at that guidance team, and that's what we're here for. And so, with that said, this man, this gentleman in the back, Coach Gary Hall, is here for the kids. It's more than just win-loss records. It's about the kiddos, and you can see across the room faces that he has touched with in the short period of time that he's been here. So I formally request that to the board that he is able to rescind his resignation. If it needs to be a formal request from him, he can do that too if he wishes in just a moment. But a couple of facts on April 3rd, so this is all transpired fairly, within the last couple of weeks. On April 3rd, he had a meeting to discuss the fact that he was going to be assigned 2 policies. I want you to understand that when Coach Hall was hired, he was told, under the pretense, and Mr. Fashi told him that he would be hired for 1 sport. And he got here, they asked him to please help out with cross country. They didn't have enough faculty and staff to help out with cross country. So being the guy he is, he helped out with cross country. And now he is going to be coupled with 2 sports. So that's kind of what all this is about, the 2-sport thing. Since on the 3rd, he also resigned. I think he got his emotions a little ahead of things, and we probably have all done that as well. And on the 4th, we'll also get that 5th, Coach Hall requested his resignation be rescinded. And so I believe there's a formal request. I don't know if it was to the board. I believe it was to Dr. O'Gwen. On the 6th, Coach Hall met with Ms. Dowdy to kind of explain the situation. And the 11th, he submitted his letter of interest. The 18th, Dr. O'Gwen met with the basketball team. And
Time.
may I finish my sentence?
No, we got to stick to the policy.
So he met with the basketball team.
No, I said we got to stick to the.
Dr. O'Gwen
Ma'am.
told the team that
Ma'am,
it
we-
did not have his.
Ma'am, we got to stick to the policy. Sorry,
Sir?
we have to stick to the policy.
Okay, and I have it. It's April 11th, dated that he did turn in his new application and resume. And I have it. If anybody wants it. Thank you.
Penny Holloway. And then Michelle Peck will be next.
Board members, my name is Penny Holloway, and I'm a 25-year veteran teacher at Nacogdoches High School, and I've spent the last 17 years at NHS. June 2nd of this year will be my last year in public education. I will be teaching at a private school in August. I've never spoken in a public forum before, but I feel I have to speak up before leaving NISD. I've loved teaching, and I truly felt that it was God wanting me to do it. However, this school year has me second-guessing my career choice. I'm leaving not because of the students. I'm leaving because I cannot work where I see good people bullied. The morale is the lowest I've ever seen.
Whoop.
Stop.
Stop.
That's a complaint.
It's over the line.
Again,
Okay.
that's personnel related.
Many of us have been, we work under the conditions of Am I Next?
No, stop. There's a grievance policy that exists where you or any other employee who feels that they are bullied may file a complaint. You cannot utilize the public forum to raise a concern to the board.
Okay.
The board can hear those concerns under a properly filed grievance once it reaches level 3.
Well-
But you can't use the public forum policy for
Okay,
that
I
purpose.
don't know whether I can continue on because I just want to say, we have great teachers at Nacogdoches in the high school and the elementaries. And we need to have the freedom to teach in our classrooms as to how we feel like is best. I admit that we need change, and change is inevitable, but let's make sure that all these changes are good changes. And I really don't know what else I can say. I wanted to mention that I had been told that a former NISD employee once said that, teachers are like horses, they just need to be broken and trained. Guys, we're tired. Teachers, we're just tired at NISD. We want to do a good job. I really, at this point, I feel like there's probably not a whole lot that I can continue on. I admit I'm very nervous, but I just wanted you to know that we've got great teachers, but we need the freedom to teach in our classrooms, and let us do our jobs. Thank you.
Ms. Peck? Amber Teal will be next.
Good evening, President Green, board members, and Superintendent Dowdy. 7 members of your team worked under the governance of the TEA to develop goals designed to improve student outcomes. In February, you adopted the goals by which your progress will be measured. I'm heartened by reports of the board's decision to build contingencies related to these goals into Ms. Dowdy's new contract. I hope as a team of 8, you will continue to make decisions about allocating district time and district resources to achieving these goals. Doing so will require a review of local policies, like your decision to opt every student into an outdated discipline policy that allows district employees to hit kids. Corporal punishment is proven to negatively impact a student's academic achievement and long-term well-being. District policies supporting this brutal form of discipline will not help students achieve STAR Master standards. Beating kids doesn't help economically disadvantaged students or students on IR campuses meet STAR post-secondary readiness standards. And acts of violence against children decrease student graduation rates and put our society at risk by perpetuating a cycle of violence. Please consider eliminating corporal punishments in our school. I've watched our board pursue projects designed to improve campus facades, and just last month you talked about all of the money spent at Carpenter. As a reminder, most of that money went to signage, a driveway, and office renovations. Many thousands of dollars have been spent on signage naming tech centers and magnet schools that no longer serve NAC ISD students. In my opinion, this was a misuse of vital resources. It should go without saying that district resources should not be diverted to projects that don't impact positive student outcomes. Nevertheless, this administration has publicly committed to doing just that because a board member has, quote, been very interested. I think it's important to share this administration's decision to front $9,850 of taxpayer money to paint district logos on a city water tower. Nacogdoches ISD is in need of much more than a billboard on a water tower. What kind of impact can a qualified principal, a coach, or a teacher make with $9,850? We need to dedicate resources to tools for classroom instruction and to retaining and developing teachers, coaches, and dedicated support professionals who directly impact our student outcomes. Every resource, time especially, is vital when it comes to turning our district around. We're on the clock with the TEA, and while the district has not shared any written records confirming the ultimatum Ms. Dowdy claims A.J. Craybill delivered, the timeline expressed in the 328 board meeting seems pretty tight. Your decision to tie her contract to performance measures makes it even tighter. Please focus on what's happening inside our classrooms. Please commit to projects and policies that serve the best interests of students of Nacogdoches ISD, and uphold your adopted commitment to work within the goals you determined will improve our students' outcomes.
And Mr. Hall, you will be our last speaker.
Good evening, board members. Good evening, Ms. Dowdy. I'm going to talk about parent participation for just a minute. If you want parents to be involved, you have to involve parents. Carpenter has been a hot topic for the past about month and a half, from campus transition to principal changes. Again, parents have not been properly and respectfully informed on what's happening with their children's education. A town hall style meeting was promised, but the date hasn't been released yet. Parents were invited to meet with the new principal one day after receiving notice of a principal change and after the community was invited to meet her and after a feature on KTRS. The parents were last. I know of at least 4 families, mine included, who are contemplating leaving the district and paying for their children to receive a free education elsewhere due to inconsistency in NISD and the lack of transparency about Carpenter. Children should be respected also. The older children at Carpenter found out about changes to the campus via the newspaper and immediately began asking questions that no staff member was able to answer. In my opinion, someone making those decisions should have sat those children down and explained what was going on. It was the week of STAR testing, and those kids found out that their teachers may not have jobs and that they may not be there next year. The worst timing ever. The staff there did not know what to say to those children because they had not properly been explained what's going on. If our children are our top priority, why is the business affecting our children being discussed with the community before them and our parents? Honestly, it was kind of embarrassing because I support the district so much, and to have people contacting me, other parents saying, hey, did you know we were getting a new principal? We didn't know, we saw it on the news. That's embarrassing. You know, a parent shouldn't find out something that's going on their campus on the news or in the newspaper. And those kids shouldn't have found out via the newspaper in their class that their teachers may not have jobs. And they weren't told that. The kids read it, like they're told to read and come up with a summary. They read that and they understood what was going on. And to me, that was very disrespectful. Lastly, you have to respect others for them to respect you, and that's children included. Parents are a vital part of a child's education. You may think that the teachers are, but the parents are also. So I ask that you respect the parents, respect our time, and respect our interest in our children's education.
Thank you.
Two of my greatest passions in life, my immediate family and my basketball family. Even at my age, I am constantly striving to find the right balance between the two. Unfortunately, I have no doubt in my coaching career, I have unintentionally spent more time with my basketball family than at the expense of the other. This is a personal guilt I carry with me as I have yet to fully comprehend the ability to turn my inner critic into a compassionate friend. At times, these two worlds collide, and I make decisions without exhausting all options or considering consequences. I recognize now this was the case with my decision to resign as the basketball coach at Nacogdoches High School. On Monday, April 3rd, I met with Dr. Ogwin to discuss my coaching responsibilities for next year. It was at that time I was informed of a new district policy requiring all coaches to coach 2 sports. My second sport, which would be cross country, which has many Saturday obligations. I asked if there was any flexibility in this policy that would allow me to spend weekends with my daughter, who was pregnant with my first grandchild. I offered to coach a spring sport, be a game manager for all fall and spring games, be an academic advisor for all athletes, possibly be the assistant athletic director. I explained that I did not want or expect to get paid for any of these additional duties. I love you, Nick. I was told that there were no options outside of cross country. In no way, shape, or form did I approach Dr. Ogwin with an ultimatum. Quite the contrary, I made every attempt possible to find a solution that would allow me to stay at Nacogdoches and remain the coach of the players I love. I had dinner with my daughter the following evening. She convinced me to remain at Nacogdoches High School. She said, "Dad, Ty Colby needs you way more than I do. You started something, I want you to finish." She followed that up with 5 of the greatest words I've ever heard. "Dad, I'm proud of you." What is most painful about my decision is the negative impact it will have on my players. I do not coach simply to win games. For many, that may be fulfilling, but players will not learn much and relationships will be shallow. My ultimate goal in coaching is to teach the young men under my care what it takes to succeed in life. That is a win-win for everyone.
Thank you very much. This is the time which the board has set aside to receive, no, I'll get to the next one.
Information.
We now come to the information item and report segment of tonight's meeting. We will begin with the, it says interim superintendent's report, but I guess I'll correct that and say superintendent's report.
Okay, thank you. Board members and public, thank you for coming tonight. State of the district, we ended March with some STAR testing. I want to say thank you to all the faculty and staff in the district for doing their best to prepare our students. Our students have another round of STAR coming up in May. And tonight you will see a report on what we have just received for the 5th and 8th grade math and reading. And I have to say, I am extremely pleased with what has happened. We're starting to see definite right direction, going in the right direction with increases in areas that we need. We have other areas that we know we need to improve, but however, we are headed in the right direction. I was more than pleased with the hard work that those teachers did and what they've accomplished. We had a pre-K and kindergarten roundup on April the 8th, which was very successful. Again, thank you to all the elementary campuses who organized. It was so well organized. I think we were over-organized almost, right, Tom? So we had people ready for everything, and we overstaffed almost for that event to be prepared. But it was very successful, and I can give you numbers later of who actually, we actually had enrolled. However, you can continue, parents can continue to enroll.
No, they can't close those doors.
Oh, they can't, okay. Parents can continue to enroll their students for pre-K and K for the coming year at the campuses. They're continuing enrollment. This month is National School Library Month. Make sure to thank your school librarians for all their hard work in helping prepare students for success. These librarians and librarian aides do their best. We are lucky to have them. This week is also Public School Volunteer Week. I know we have had many organizations, groups, businesses, and individuals who volunteer throughout the district. We are extremely grateful for their time and dedication to our schools, to our students, and to our teachers. Thank you for volunteering. We couldn't do without the volunteers. They're fantastic for our campuses. The last day to submit volunteer observer forms to the Human Resource Office for background checks is Thursday, May 1, 2017. All applications for the intra-district or intra-campus and intra-district student transfers must be received by the first Monday in May, and from that a committee will approve transfers for this coming year. Student and teacher achievement. On March the 23rd, we have a lot on this. On March the 23rd, 2017, Nacogdoches High School competed in the UIL Prose and Poetry Competition at Lindale High School. All the students compete in the preliminary round, and the students must place first, second, or third to advance to the finals. There are only 6 prose and 6 poetry finalists. 4 of our 6 students advanced to the finals. Wow. Yeah, that's great. This is more than any other school. Congratulations to those NHS students, and good luck in the finals. We had a lot of innovative inventions winners from our elementary and middle school campuses. I want to say congratulations to everyone. We're very proud of these students for working so hard in the competition. Congratulations to Jesse Stovall for earning first team All-State in the 50 free this year, as well as All-State honorable mention in the 100 free. All-State recognition is given to those who earned one of the top 24 fastest times in Texas this year. We are very proud of her accomplishments this season. On Thursday, April the 6th, 2017, Milam Lodge No. 2 in Nacogdoches presented the Myra B. Lamar Award of Excellence to Julia Wells. Julia, are you here tonight? Stand up for a moment, please. Principal of Regay Elementary, congratulations to Julia. And also, did we have any librarians in the audience? I meant to ask. Did anybody tonight? Librarian 8? Okay. All right. They're right. They're at a conference learning more about librarian stuff. Congratulations to Kay Tikel, who placed 3rd at regionals in Ready Writing, and Trishella Roy, who placed 4th at regionals in Ready Writing. Kay is advancing to state. Trishella is an alternate to state, so we're very proud of them. Congratulations also to the following swimmers who earned academic all-state recognition. Now, I'm going to mess up some names here. Lizzie Davis, Ruben Nanan, Valentine Scoganello. Thank you. Who said that? I need some help with these, okay? If you know their names. Hunter Stevens, Parker Elliott, Jesse Stovall, and Wilson Burton, okay? I did those okay, right? Also, we have for success of cake competitions, Technology Students Association, 30 students advanced to state from regional. That's great. Jeannie, congratulations to your group. Of the 30 that competed at state, 11 were first place winners, 5 were second place winners, 6 were third place winners, 2 were fourth place winners, and 3 were fifth place winners. 3 are eligible to compete at national competitions, so we're so proud of them. FFA Nursery Landscape Team advanced to state and will compete next week. Cosmetology Aesthetics placed 4th at state, so extremely proud of that group. Campus and congratulations to members of the Lady Dragon Track Team who were advancing to area. The campus and personnel updates. Nacogdoches High School Theater is putting on a show to help our NHS students fundraiser for their New York City trips. Maybe it's not going to snow this time, right? It's a 1950s murder mystery dinner. The murder mystery dinner is Saturday, April the 29th at 7 p.m. in the main commons. Tickets are $12. If you would like to purchase a ticket, please email NHS Theater Teacher Victoria Perry. I hear all kinds of great comments about our theater program at all times. Community involvement. NISD teamed up with various community businesses and organizations to kick off this year's Texas Reads One Book. Volunteers read the first chapter of The Lemonade War by Jacqueline Davies to third grade students across the district. We had some amazing volunteer readers from Stephen F. Austin University's soccer program and multiple campuses, as well as Nacogdoches Rotary and Delta Sigma Theta. Also, Dragon community partners like Suddenlink, Bancorp South Bank, Austin Bank, and McWilliams & Son Heating and Air Conditioning helped kick off Texas One Reads One Book program. So vital to our reading program. The more we can focus, the more we can encourage reading. On Saturday, April the 22nd, Nacogdoches High School will host Clear the Shelter. Clear the Shelter is an adoption event that will take place at Nacogdoches Animal Shelter from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. This event is in celebration of Altice Connect's Charity Champions Community Initiative. Altice's Charity Champion Contest promotes volunteerism and helps raise money for the charity of their choice. So we've got so many community events and school events for this time of year. It's a great thing to have. Thank you.
Next is, looks like Mr. O'Gwen.
Yes, graduation projection.
For graduation projections.
Yeah.
Dr. O'Gwen, excuse me.
Good afternoon, President Green, board members, and Ms. Dowdy, Superintendent Dowdy. I'm here to present the graduation report for Nacogdoches High School. If the board members would do so, please take a look at page 15 in your manual. Nacogdoches High School administration have apprised Board of Trustee members each spring regarding the number of students who are not on track for graduation. These students may not meet the deadline for accruing credits or may not have passed all sections of the exit level in the course exam which is required for graduation. Dr. O'Gwen tonight will present a report updating the board on the current status of seniors at Nacogdoches High School and projected graduation numbers. Okay, moving on to page 16. Before I cover that information, on page 16, Nacogdoches High School currently has 355 seniors in the senior class. 25 of those seniors came from transferred in from other schools. So our approximate total who began as a cohort who are still there are 330. The original cohort who started as ninth graders, there were 489 in that cohort. We've had some transfer. We've had 15 plus be referred to Malcolm Rector High School to get caught up so that they can graduate on time, which will be this year. And so if you add in the 35 who transferred in from other places plus the 15, we're at approximately 380 seniors who are projected to graduate.
300 what?
380. That's down approximately 100 to 110 students from where they began 4 years ago. The GED students, that number may rise because the students who have decided to withdraw and pursue a GED, they have until August 2017 to complete those GED requirements, and when they do, when we start getting our accountability ratings, that will help us and that will also not count against us. Some of the other things that impacted the number going from 489 down to 380 is the fact that some students moved to other districts, and we also had some dropouts. Okay, so moving on to page 16 of the board booklet, if you'll take a look, it has each of the end-of-course exams, the 5 end-of-course exams that our high school seniors are required to pass in order to meet graduation requirements. And in each column at the top, it tells you which area they're being tested in. If you look at the first column, it's English 1. In English 1, the passing standard is 3813. And so the numbers that are in the far left column are associated with an individual student. So if you'll go from top to bottom in the far left column, there's 25 different students who still need to meet the completions and pass the end-of-course exams for graduation. Looking at English 1, of those 25, 6 of them still need to meet the standard in English 1. We have a couple who are really, really close. We have a couple who still have quite a bit of work to do. Now, they retested back in March, and we have not received those results. So some of these students who are on the sheet tonight may have already met the requirement and passed the test, but we won't get those results until the end of May or beginning of June. In the second column, you have English 2. I recently read a report on the TEA's website about the individual graduation committees, and it cited English 2 as being the one that is most difficult for most students throughout the state to pass. And so we're no different than anyone else. When you look at English 2, we have 20 of the 25 still need to pass the English 2 exam. And that standard is also 3813, just as English 1. And if you look, we have some who have been really close and have made gains. And so I feel confident that, quite a few of these will probably come out to the list by the time, we roll around to end of May and June and receive those results. The third column is Algebra 1. Of the 25 that are Algebra 1, and we have to remember some of these students are needing to pass multiple tests, okay? But of the 25, 5 of them still need to pass the Algebra 1 exam. And the Algebra 1 passing standard is 3625. And as you can see, 4 of the 5 are, not that far off. We're talking about probably 3 or 4 questions, a difference in 3 or 4 questions from being able to meet the standard. The fourth column is biology. Our biology team, from what I'm told when I got here, is the team that's been together the longest and has been the most consistent team, and it shows in the scores. We only have 2 of those 25 students who still need to meet the passing standard for biology, and that passing standard is 3625. And if you look at it, one of them is probably 3 or 4 questions away, and the other one who hasn't passed still has a ways to go. But again, we did retest in March, and so we're waiting on those to come back. The fifth column is U.S. history. U.S. history, of the 25, 6 of them still need to pass the U.S. history. That passing standard as Algebra 1 in biology is 3625. And again, if you look at the numbers, there's 3 of them who are probably within 4 or 5 questions from being able to pass it. There's another couple that are probably in the 6 or 7 question range. So we're not that far off, and only having 6 who still need to pass that. The far right-hand column, the last column, it identifies the students who are credit deficient. And so these students still have some work that need to be made up. They're not at Malcolm Rector because we have them in credit recovery at the high school, and they're taking the courses through a program that the district purchased called Ingenuity, and they appear to be progressing well. I meet probably 2 or 3 times a week with Ms. Stanley. I don't know if she's here tonight, but I meet with her 2 to 3 times a week to be appraised of where our seniors are, and she really, really works our seniors. She tells me a lot of times she's losing sleep worrying about our seniors, and she really wants to make sure that we get every last one of them across that line, and that's our goal at Nacogdoches High School. So to only have 3, if they take care of what they need to on the end of course exam, who are credit deficient, and knowing that they are currently in Ingenuity trying to remediate those credits, I think we're in a good position. Again, this is my first year here, so I don't know how we compare to the previous years. I don't, really have that information to be able to draw back on, but I don't think that we're that far off. And so that, Joe finishes all the data that I have on the graduation report. I'm ready for any questions.
Mike, could you just remind the board, if a student, the rules of the committee that you form in case they don't, how many subjects now are they allowed to fail that they?
They have to pass 3 of the exams in order to graduate if they complete a project or a portfolio, and it's approved by the individual graduation committee. We met back in March as an individual graduation committee, and we saw all 25 of the students and their parents. So we sat down, we had a very lengthy discussion about where their students needed help and where they were lacking and which tests they needed to pass. We set out a plan, and we provided each of the students with a project to complete. The department chairs from each of the individual departments set in on those individual graduation committees, and they went over the project with the parents. They offered their assistance in before school, after school tutorials, and during mega lunch tutorials. And so Ms. Stanlin is staying on top of that, and we just had a conversation yesterday. We're kind of worried, because we're not seeing as many of them come in to do checkups on the projects, but we came up with a solution that we're gonna, start pulling them in, every so many days, maybe once or twice a week, just to see where they are, to make sure they're completing the project. Because if they pass 3 tests, 3 of the end of course exams, and they complete the other 2 projects, they still graduate. So of this 25, depending on how many complete the projects, even if they don't pass the retest that they just took in March and the retest that will be coming up in May, this number, if they complete those projects, this number will be lower. It should be lower than 25.
If I may, Mr. President, I would just, I know these numbers are rough, Dr. O'Gwen, but I think it's always good to even look at those rough numbers to see where we're at compared to where we need to be. As you know, we recently went through a process of adopting district goals for our student outcomes, and one of those district goals is that the percentage of students graduating on a 4-year longitudinal rate will increase from 84.3% to 92% by 2021. So that is one of the measures we are tuning into and watching very closely. Based on the rough numbers that you presented to us tonight, I just did some quick math. If you're saying you're expecting a graduation class of 380, and we started out roughly at 489. Now, and I realize, and I say this is rough because I realize it doesn't take into consideration your transfers and all of that. That puts us at about a 78% rate right now as we stand.
If they enrolled in another public school,
they would not count against us, correct? And that's why I'm saying I realize that this is a rough calculation because it does not back out those students who transferred to another institution, because those, we can't hold those against us. That's not so I realize those are rough numbers, but that's a scary number to me. And I know those numbers will be refining here in the next couple of months, but probably more than anything wanted to reiterate that we're focused on these student outcomes, that this is one of the priority areas that we've identified as a board, and look forward to seeing progress moving forward on this.
Well, and I do too, and we have some initiatives that we're going to put in place next year to try to help, motivate students and keep them engaged in school. We have a program that I discussed with Ms. Dowdy called ROC, which is Recovery of Credit, which will help some of those students probably remediate their credits sooner than, waiting until the end of the semester to get a credit recovery, or waiting to summer school. And, some of the people who use it, I know College Station High School uses it, and I believe Bryan High School uses it. And we got it from them, and they talked about how the students are even more excited, more engaged, because they don't have to wait so long to recover that credit. And so hopefully if they see that I have a fighting chance to graduate, because I can go to ROC and I can, be retaught these different concepts that we weren't successful at, that'll keep them engaged, and that'll be another factor that will make them want and desire to come to school. Because the bottom line, we have to, if we can get them to school and we can get them in the classroom, I think we can get them to where they need to be.
I will look forward to hearing more about that program as well as others that I know you'll be implementing.
Yes, ma'am.
Couple of questions. Couple of questions. My calculations are right from what you said. Tell me if I'm wrong. I only see 4 kids that haven't passed 3 subjects?
Only 4 kids that haven't passed 3
3
subjects.
subjects.
3 tests, okay, let's see.
A number, what I'm looking at is number 9, number 13, number 14, and number 22. Everybody else has passed 3 or more.
3 or more.
Yes, yes, so all of those, and that is correct. Also, if everybody completes their graduation, their individual graduation committee project, then they should graduate. Okay.
So we're really looking, if they get on the stick and do these other requirements, you could be down to 4.
We could be down to 4. The individual graduation committee will meet with each student and their parents.
What kind of inspiration do you need to give to all these students other than those 4 to?
Hey, I've tried everything this year. You know, our source store that we started, you know, we give bonus points out to the source store if they'll go during the mega lunch to tutorial. We give 50 bonus points, and some of them take us up on it. I don't know if they're, you know, taking us up on it because they want to go to the source store, or they're, you know, just really excited. I hope that they're excited about graduation because the end of the road is near. And so we're going to really work that number to get it down as far as we can.
Okay, just seems like sometimes people have to be made a little uncomfortable to get where you need them to go. My next question is pertaining to English 2. You said that was pretty much a statewide thing, that English 2, but my question is, I haven't seen the test. I would assume it's got some reading, some grammar, and some writing.
Oh, yeah.
Yes,
It's got all 3 areas in it?
Yes, ma'am. But this year they changed the test. They eliminated some of the short answers, and they made the multiple choice, and so they only have 1 essay this year. So we're hoping that change makes that number go up, and the ones who are, you know, who haven't passed it before, we're hoping that takes care of some of those right there.
So there's an essay and
short, instead of the short answers, they converted those into multiple choice.
Okay. The last question, just curiosity. You got a kid that's passed English 2 and didn't pass English 1?
Yes, yes.
Just
we have let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 of them who passed in the, excuse me.
No, I just see one that passed.
There's 1, excuse me, 2, there's 2. There's 2, there's number 4 and number 23.
That just seems like an outlier to me.
Pam?
Okay.
I was going to say too, I had to look up the report for TEA. It shows the 4-year longitudinal rate that for class of 15, they don't have the other yet because it runs a year or 2 behind. But the campus at that time in 2015 is at 80, the graduated 89.4%. Class of 14 was 92.7%. And then there's the 5-year and 6-year extended, but.
Yeah, I know the numbers that we were presented for 16, spring of 2016 was 84.3%.
Okay.
And our goal for spring of 17 was 85.8%.
Okay.
So if our goal for this year was 85.8% and we're sitting roughly at 78%, we are, that's a red flag.
You know, I'm optimistic that we're going to meet that 85% goal for this year.
I think so.
I'm not going to bet my house on it, but I think we're going to meet that 85% this year.
I like that confidence.
Any more questions?
Don't let Doc.
Thank you, sir.
Thank
All right,
you.
thank you, guys.
Next is spring testing results, and that goes to Ms. Kinsey.
Good evening, President Green, board members, Superintendent Dowdy. I'm excited to get up here and share the results with you, but I would like to really commend the principals in the room and the teachers in the room because they have worked very, very hard to get to this point. So, even the campuses that didn't get the gains
worked very, very hard also, and they made adjustments. And the good thing is our data leading up to this was very good. The testing, instruction's been tweaked, they've been making changes, they've been working. So I'm very excited to get to share this information with you tonight. As you know, reading is a district priority right now. We're trying to strengthen our reading program. And we had some things in place this year, and we're continuing to work on those things, and we have some great plans for this summer to help us with next year even improve much better. So on the first column, you'll see that's last year's STAR reading results. And then next to it, and I'm comparing the first round of testing, not the
we test
second round,
twice
which is
here.
coming up again in May. So as a district, we went from 53% to 55%, which is a 2+ gain. BQJ went down a little bit, but if you compare those kids to how they did last students as 4th grade, they really made gains. And Ms. Dowdy and I were going to share the vertical alignment, but we really didn't feel like it was fair until we had the next round, because that's what we had to compare about. So we will get those that vertical comparison. So that's more like your apples to apples, the kids that have moved up from 3rd grade, 4th grade to 5th grade. But Carpenter,
wow.
Where's the Carpenter here?
I want Carpenter. They need to stand up. They need to stand up. Come on. Come on.
Come on,
stand up. There you go.
You know, personally, I feel success breeds success. When our kids start seeing a little success, and I had the privilege of being the testing monitor at Carpenter, and those kids, I mean, like, I tried not to go in, I tried to peer from the window, but I mean, like, they were so focused.
They were
And they worked
focused.
so hard. And then I hear from the other campuses, we couldn't have asked any more from our students. I mean, and I'll share this little story, and I'll go on that. The second day of testing, this little boy says, he goes, Miss, were you the one that was here yesterday? I said, yeah, I was here. Did you have the clipboard? I said, yes, I had the clipboard. He says, were you the one that said that our school worked harder than any other school in the district? I said, yeah, that was me. But you know what, kid, they need to know that their hard work is paying off. So Carpenter, 22%, that is huge for struggling kids. Many of those kids have never, ever passed a STAR test ever. So we're getting some success before they get to middle school. Fredonia dipped a tiny bit. They're working. We've got a strong SSI program ready to go. Nettie made huge gains. Congratulations, Nettie, with that 21%. Gay, 13%. I mean, you can't ask, these double digits are huge. And TJR is working now to really work with getting those kids up for the second round.
Can I just say, across the board, you know, reading is the issue. Yeah. And we've got to keep plugging ahead to get these scores up. The good part is that they will make up that difference on the second round, and we're going to see a huge jump on all the scores in those grades that are going to help us big time. Okay. So where we are.
So this next comparison.
Before you move on, can I ask, because before we, if you back up to that chart, and I don't want to be the sour grapes, but I have to ask. Sure. I mean, what are we doing, or what are we identifying to address those issues at BQJ, Fredonia, and TJR?
Okay, so part of the 5th grade and 8th grade is the Student Success Initiative, and students have to receive instruction in groups of 10 to 1. So kids are all being mixed up, and we're really putting the strongest teacher with the kids that need to pass, and those kids that have already passed might have, not that they're not strong teachers, maybe somebody that just hasn't grown as much as somebody else. So there's every plan. I worked really closely with 4 or 5 of the campuses. Every campus plan looks different. It's based on the strengths of the campus and their support and what they can do. But we had already met previously. We ordered some really good resources, and I think we have done, I feel like we have a good plan in place. I always like to break it down and look at the students that missed by 1 question, 2 questions, 3, 4, and 5, because those are our kids that we really can move before the next round. Mm-hmm. And then some of those kids truly need to go to summer school because they need that extended year. So we have a strong plan. Every campus, Ms. Hawthorne, our math coach, and Ms. Simmons and Andy Howe are all working at providing the intervention, so we're all spread out and are working at the campuses to get it going.
Quality time on task.
All right. Is there anything that you need is there anything that we can do as a board to help in the effort?
Prayers. No, I
Done.
think, you know what, the planning was way before now. The planning has been taking place. And so, we sort of hoped the scores would come in Thursday afternoon because the principals worried all weekend. But we had a sort of a generic plan, and really the data was pretty, our projection was pretty good. So then it was just going in and plugging the kids. We spent hours on creating the model. So, you know, you're really taking a grade level and you're changing it around. And the fifth grade still has to have science instruction. So then you have kids who might have failed math only or reading only, or, you know, or they failed both. So then those kids are getting a different kind. We have to be very strategic about their attention.
Sammy, tell them what, was it John or Wade that told you about the test the CBA's lining up?
Wade from Star Forward was telling me, he said the design of your tests are very good, reflective of getting enough objectives in to really get a true measure when we do our
Because we were worried
CBAs
about
throughout
it.
the year.
Yeah. Very
So that was really good to hear
Excellent.
with that.
Well done.
It was very good. All right, so the next slide, now, these are your, so I'm going to give you all a quick accountability lesson because you know accountability is changing. If you think back to Ms. Davis when she did that presentation earlier in the year talking about the changes that are coming, it's a little bit confusing, but that meets grade level. So now we have 4 new labels. We have below grade level, approaching grade level, which is now passing, but they call it approaching because they're not quite strong enough. Then you have the meets grade level, which this is that first column. It's going to count huge in our accountability because that's going to be counted heavier. That's that final phase into where our goal is at the end when we get to the 2021 or 2020 that we're going to have our kids to that final 2. So as you can see, we've got a good chunk of kids. And then last year they called it achievement level 3, which I always call it my college readiness because it's the kids that have above 85. That's a good predictor. Those are kids ready to go to college. And now they're calling that master's grade level. But if you look at that, so personally I feel like you have a strong tier 1 instructional program when you address your high kids. So it's really good. Like last year, and I'm going to brag on Carpenter again. Last year they had nobody that met that highest standard. This year, 14% of their 5th graders met that college, that high level standard. So I mean, I'm just saying, and then if you look down at Nettie, they went, so 64, well, let's just go down. 64% of Nettie's kids met that final phase in already, but then 44% of them made that master's grade levels. Regate, 25%. I mean, to me, these are outstanding numbers. I mean,
And we compared it to other districts.
And
during the night.
Y'all gonna have to help me with these schools around here, but I compared to a lot of similar schools that aren't IR districts, and our scores are right in there with them. So, you know, you never know how hard the test is going to be or how easy until you start doing that comparison. But once again, TJR, they're struggling a little bit, but they know it, and they've got a good plan in place to keep going with that. And then we get to math, and this is a celebration for sure. Double-digit gains for the district, 14%. This is the kind of spiral we want to keep on going, that spiraling up right there. So last year, that was the March scores, this first round, and this is where we're at right now with 68%.
Those are great.
I mean, look at Nettie, 97%. Is Bradley here tonight? I haven't seen
No,
Bradley.
he had a softball game with his daughter. He's coaching tonight.
Like 3 kids that didn't pass the test. Talk about an easy intervention. But and then look at TJR. This is huge. Last year.
Look at that.
Let's look at Fredonia. We need to celebrate Fredonia. Fredonia went from 37% to 56%.
Yay.
19% gain. Good job, Melinda. And then if you look at TJR, and that is huge, 35% to 63%.
Now the TJR crew needs to stand up. Come on, where's TJR? Stand up. Come on.
They had an awesome walking review rally. It was amazing. So, I mean, like this math, I mean.
And this is only going to get stronger because we're going to have another round.
And then once
that's
again,
help us.
BQJ was, it looks like they're just staying there, but if you look, when we look at the kids last year, Mr. Miller will tell you those kids did not perform. Like they're,
45% last year.
Yeah.
45 from those 4th graders to this. So that's where, you know, you look at the scores and you think, oh, it's stagnant, but it's really not. I mean, 20% of those kids who didn't pass last year passed this year. So Good celebration.
This is amazing, across the board improvement in math. What's different? What did this?
You know, you can't ever put it on one thing. I mean,
Okay.
I don't think you can ever put it on one thing. The curriculum coaches have worked really hard. They've worked with Ms. Hawthorne. Stacy Grant's our consultant that works with us. She's very driven. She has great success with turning IR campuses around. She'll be on the district tomorrow.
We don't have a lot
Yeah.
of different staff development. We're trying to keep it consistent.
Focused.
Yeah, and not a lot of different ideas or other ways.
They've done
means
a lot
coming
of
in.
PD where they would pull maybe just the third grade math teachers and work with them, and the fourth grade, the fifth grade, the middle school. So they've been able to, you know, it's been really good because the hard thing about math is sometimes
Isn't it
teachers
good?
want to stay with the topic and they get off.
Thank
the
you. It's
script
all those
sequence
people
and
out
they
there.
struggle. And we really had that
But
problem
all
in
these
middle
people
school
are
this year.
helping.
But
That's
that way
it.
we're pulling them back in, like, you got to go on and then spiral back and help. So we couldn't be more pleased with
This
the
is
gains in math.
absolutely amazing.
I tell you, the thing that jumped out at me on this whole thing was Fredonia and TJR.
Exactly.
But if you look at their reading scores went down, but their math scores went up huge. I would probably, just being an old principal, I would probably be looking right now at who I would say you probably have a pretty strong fifth grade math teacher at TJR, and you probably have a pretty strong math teacher at Fredonia Elementary.
Yeah.
Am I right?
Well, and this is the time of year Ms. Dowdy's been meeting with the principals monthly on staffing, and they're looking at those things. I'll just say there's been some changes in the district mid-year.
Yeah, we did. We did some changes mid-year.
We couldn't wait.
Right.
And then when you have to do those changes, then it's sort of like you're starting all over. But the principals are very aware, Ms. Dowdy's very aware, and we're going to work on our strengths and try to improve this next year.
We look at that every month through staffing on how well each class is doing, what changes we might need to make and shift, and if we have to intervene. So,
Which is why it's so important those tests you're doing are predictive.
But I guess, I want to just say stress Fredonia went down 4 points in reading. Same group of kids went up 19 in math.
right.
And then you had TJR, reading went down 12 points, and the same group of kids went up 28 points in math. That's pretty good. So,
We're very proud. Hard work.
So here we go, we're looking at the high kids again, and that meets grade levels, that final phase in two, which the district had 35%, which until I see comparison scores, I don't know, but I just know that we're doing well with that. I mean,
Sammy snuck in that night and said, Sandra, I don't know, but this just really looks good. I said, good. I mean, it does. We started calling and we were like comparing. We were like, yeah, we're right there.
Well, if you get to that master's grade level, we went up that high, that really
Yeah.
high, like the 88, 85 to 100%. We had +7 gain.
That's going to help us on accountability.
But then come on down, let's look at some of these campuses. Look at Brigade, 41% of those kids are the master grade level, college ready. All right. I mean, that is awesome. And you know what? That's great for the middle schools because we're
Now we're gonna
often
see it
trying to
feed.
catch up in the middle school. So this is going to be a great with that. And then looking at TJR, once again, they went from 3% last year to 15%. But then Carpenter, if you remember last year, Carpenter made some pretty good gains in math last year, and then but their high kids still made those gains.
That's right.
So that's really exciting.
And remember, I keep talking about that bubble coming through of reading, so we want to get to the point where life is good. I keep saying that we've seen the gains in pre-K and K, so that we want to get the kids moving through so that it's not such a struggle and because these teachers, have put in lots, and the whole staff has put in so much work that we don't want to have to work that hard to get them there. You know what I'm saying? We've got to get that like a well-oiled machine.
Right.
running, okay?
But the concept is if the top goes up,
Yep.
it forces everybody to go up.
Exactly, President Green. That's why we have to have a very strong Tier 1 program.
Right.
And then we have to use our tier instruction and our interventions to pull those other babies up. Exactly. Okay, so this next one, the reading, the middle school reading went down, but like Ms. Dowdy said, that's our group of
It's
kids
our
that have been coming, they've been moving up.
And I want you to talk about Read at 180 in there.
I am going to talk about Read 180. You graciously approved the Read 180 program last year for middle school and high school. We had a late start getting that off. We finally got the PO in, and then the company was backlogged, and so then the materials were slow getting in, so we really didn't get a good grasp probably till the end of October. So I pulled some game reports, and the Lexals have gone up. I mean, like the students, they're all making progress. We're actually making a little bit more progress in middle school than high school, which makes me think it'd be better for us to really capture them at middle school
Right.
so that they're prepared for high school. But at McMichaels, out of their 12 eighth graders in Read 180, 9 of those 12 passed. And you've got to realize those are your tier kids that have been struggling readers all through elementary. So, I mean, I like looking at Read 180's data, but I really like to see what we're doing. And at Moses, they had 12 students. They didn't have any pass, but they have 4 students that are 2 questions away, 1 or 2 questions away. So we're really hopeful that those students will.
Those are your low
And what sort of
students.
amazes me that this is the first round of testing that we're capturing those kids, not the second round.
And we're looking, I want to say too, at increasing Read 180 because we got to capture, that's why when I talk to TEA, I'm not just talking about the 3-hour campuses. We have to look across the district on the providing those interventions and these kind of materials to capture
When we
their.
talk about graduation rates, when you teach kids how to read effectively, that keeps kids in school. I mean, kids shut down after a while because they can't read. And so if we can improve our reading instruction, and we're going to be implementing a very strong phonics program next year at the elementary, which I think is really going to help. But we still have these kids that are sort of sandwiched in that we're going to continue to work with. So reading has been our bit of a challenge here. And then once again, our math, this is the reading. This is the
Yeah, I should say, yeah.
It pretty much compares to that. McMichaels went up a little bit and Moses went down a little bit. But, you know, the thing about, they're still making, you know, we're still making some gains in there. But once again, that 30% at that final phase in, it's not like all of our kids are just barely passing. You know, we've got a good chunk of them that are moving on up to that higher level. So 8th grade math, I want you to keep in mind 8th grade math, our high math students are in algebra instead of that. So sometimes our math scores, you know, the algebra usually really pulls it up, but once again, I mean, that's almost a 10-point gain. Not quite double digits like the elementary, but that's a very solid gain. And our teachers should be commended. They really should be.
Absolutely.
You know, they've worked really, really hard. And
Middle schools, thank you.
Yeah.
Where are you?
And middle schools they've had some challenges this year.
Yes, they
We lost
have.
a math and science teacher. We had to redo the master schedule at Moses. I mean, like,
We had struggles on finding
Yeah.
math and science.
We
If you
did.
remember, we
We did.
worked all year, yeah.
McMichaels had a higher number due to rezoning. There's all kinds of things that we've had to work through.
Right.
So it's really good for the math. And then here we go with the higher, even though it's not the big gains. But honestly, when you think about all your high kids being in algebra, it's sort of surprising that 5% of your kids at Moses are making that master's grade level. So those kids probably should have been in algebra, but they might not have worked that hard. So this comes.
I would say I'd hope our middle school principals, I know they're both here tonight, I don't see them out there, but I hope you'll pass along to your math teachers how very proud we are of those increases.
Absolutely.
And then this sort of goes back, Ms. Finch, what you asked before about what are we doing. And so any student who failed the test in March or were absent on testing day are required to go through a student success initiative. All the interventions have started on the campuses. They had a day that just sort of regrouped, plug kids in, work with some, I got to work with some of the campuses. You know, the teachers got to celebrate a little bit, and then they had to get right to work on how we're going to move these kids. Parent letters are being sent home. The thing that's different this year from the state is before parents would get a confidential student report with the first test, this year the state's not going to send them until the June date. The 5th grade and 8th grade retest in May 8th, and math is May 8th and reading is May 9th, and then that week is when we have all the other STAR testing at the elementary and middle school campuses. So It's not just our SSI group. Every campus right now has really hit their testing grades differently. So they're doing, with Lead Start Forward, they had the rocking review. It's just ways to engage kids. It may be like rotating kids between teachers, just mixing it up so the kids don't feel like, oh, we're going through a drill and kill. And they're, we've got some new resources, so they're not seeing the same old thing. It's just a different way to do it. So I'm hoping we'll see really great results, but this is great progress for us to begin with.
Is this has this always been done, this SSI, or is it something new? It's always been done.
It has always been done, except the year they didn't do it the year they brought in the STAR test, and then last year, they had all those mixed up with the testing and stuff, and so we had to do SSI, but then they didn't they didn't have the test the third time around because the state had some hiccups.
Okay.
So, and then at the end of the summer, there is a meeting that they really look at, the schools have to look at, did the kids come to summer school? If they didn't pass the test, are they in place to get interventions at the high school? Unfortunately, many of these students or kids have already been retained, and so sometimes it's not in the child's best interest to be retained again, because research shows when you retain kids multiple times, they do become high school dropouts. The nice thing is we have some really good interventions here in Nacogdoches, so we'll continue those interventions, and we have a really good summer school program that we've got all planned.
And just for a moment, tell them about our week-long primary reading program we're going to put in this summer.
The phonics.
Yeah.
So the phonics, pre-K is a 2-day training, kinder is a 2-day, the 1st through 3rd grade is a 5-day training. It's going to teach teachers, oftentimes teachers learn how to teach comprehension, but not how to do the decoding, the word attack skills. And there's another program that we could put out there for 4th through 8th grade that I just found out that I need to talk to Ms. Dowdy about. And I've heard, like Mr. Harwell, the reading teacher at Home Carpenter, he's like, tell me how to teach kids just how to read. Teachers don't always know those things. So the state also
especially in the upper grades, because that's not what they're trained
on. The state also has the math and reading academies this year that we're encouraging our teachers to go. There's a stipend for that. So there's a lot of stuff. Our teachers have worked really, really hard.
That's right.
Absolutely.
They have worked very hard, and I've always been at at-risk campuses, and after a while as a teacher, sometimes you get discouraged. So that's why we have to celebrate small successes.
Yes. Absolutely.
There's much to celebrate.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sammy. Sammy, thank you for all your work, too.
I do have one question about, just to clarify for me, the kids who in 8th grade who take Algebra 1, take the Algebra 1 end of course exam?
Yes, it's the same core test that they take at the high school.
All right, and they do not take the 8th grade test?
Math, no. They take that.
Well, then these numbers are a little more impressive than you are thinking. How many sections of Algebra 1?
We have 2 sections at each middle school, probably 50 students, 56, 55, 50 students, something like that.
Well, when you pull out your 50 of your top students not taking that 8th grade test,
Now-
still having 5%.
Now, I'm going to tell you, high school doesn't like it.
I know.
Okay, because then, yeah.
And I'll just put out there, social studies we've been struggling with, but we have a major review going on right now.
That's a struggle.
Far behind, and we have, they worked really, really hard, and I'll tell you, people have been pushed out of their comfort zone and trying to do some things that are different, but they have all stepped up, and I think that will help. The 8th grade social studies test is crazy hard. If you ever just want to see what it's like, take it. I mean, we'll get you a copy, because it's unbelievably hard.
It's not, back in the
No.
other test, you could almost memorize it.
No.
No.
Not anymore?
No, these are high-level tests we're taking now, Mr. Reed. We need to let y'all take them.
I'm just talking about the social, just the social studies.
No, it's hard. It's hard, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Sammy.
Are you calling me old school? Okay, consent agenda. Unless removed from the consent agenda, all items listed will be acted on with one motion. If there is a board member who wishes to discuss an item on consent agenda separately, please indicate the agenda letter, and it will be set aside for further discussion and separate vote. Do I have a anybody who'd like to pull a?
Yes, sir. Mr. President, I'd like to pull item C, and I would like to pull item D1.
C is.
Second reading.
Huh?
Second reading of the policy.
Okay, second reading of the policies.
D1 is Texas Kids First.
Okay. Do I have a motion for A, B? How many Ds do we have?
D2.
I make a motion that we accept the consent agenda excluding C and D1.
I'll second.
All those in favor? Okay, C, Ms. Fitch?
Thank you. There was quite a bit in these policies, and somehow I missed it at our last meeting, but I noticed on page 131 that this eliminates in policy the process of conducting exit interviews with personnel. It's on page 131. The sentence says, an exit interview shall be conducted if possible, and an exit report shall be prepared for every employee who leaves employment with the district, and that has been removed from policy.
Scratch that.
Yeah, why would we be removing that from policy?
Right.
I think TASB's thought on that was that they'd put some more language in here about people, it's basically to keep people from hopping from one district to another, having done something that other places should be aware of. Now, I don't know why they said don't do exit interviews anymore, and we can always keep in our policy, we're still gonna do an exit interview. So, but I think this was either the recommendation from TASB, and this goes along with that whole thing of you're gonna report anything that needs to be told to another district about an employee leaving your district if there's any type of red flag. A lot of time, I think the interview is to take care of that situation.
On a personal note, I'm not very comfortable with the idea of eliminating exit interviews. I would suggest that we need to leave that in our local policy, that exit interviews are conducted and documented, that we actually get a written exit report. I don't see Kelly.
My question is, can we adopt all the other policies but DC and have it come back next month with some clarification on that?
Yes, sir. We can make whatever changes y'all want to make to it and then adopt that separately outside of the rest of them, that portion of it, and then we can adopt it how we want to and send it back.
And Michael, what's your view of that too, because of what you've seen with exit interviews or so forth?
We have no problem with doing exit interviews. We have an online procedure for doing an exit interview, or they can set up an appointment to come and meet face-to-face for an exit interview. So I see no problem with the board's request to conduct exit interviews.
Ms. Fitch, is this your first time seeing this?
I did not catch this at the first review last month, no.
Okay. Mr. President,
Admittedly, go ahead.
I'd like to make a motion that we table this for further review until a later date.
Are you talking about all the policies?
All the
or just-
policies C.
I'll second.
Kelly, do you see a problem with holding up on the accept?
No,
Okay.
not that
It's a
particular.
motion.
You just want to pull that from
I'm just
the
asking her a
group.
question to see if she saw a problem with that.
So you have more time
You
to
just want to
review
pull,
them?
yeah,
Okay.
you just want to pull DC local from the list of policies that you'll be approving
What?
on the consent agenda.
Well, we're either that or we're talking about holding off on the whole set
okay.
until next board meeting.
Sure, that's fine too.
Or until a later date. We didn't specify a time until a later date. Considering the fact that we're gonna have new board members, they're gonna have to review this.
And that would be in the
That could fall this summer sometime. So just until a later date, we do have a second.
I don't have, let's any more discussion?
Do you see any problem with delaying any of those?
No, I was just talking with Mr. Martin, that I
Okay.
don't think there's anything timely or pressing that the administration's waiting on. So
Okay.
in that particular set of policy.
As it stands now, the exit interview is still in there. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Did you have a second?
Because
Pam, second the motion. I made the motion, she seconds.
Okay. All those in favor of tabling this, the second reading of the TASB policy update 107, raise your hand. Okay. Next one is D1, which would be under purchasing, Texas Kids First. That would be
406, I think.
Mr. McCarley. Is that the correct one?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
On this one, I had, and I believe, did we provide copies to everybody on this? I had inquired prior to the meeting with staff if they could provide a list of the local network providers for this insurance, Texas Kids First. This is our UIL student co-curricular accident coverage. I would call your attention that there are no providers in Nacogdoches for this insurance.
Plenty in Carthage.
Yeah, and so I question, is this the best insurance for us to provide our students when we have no providers locally?
Yeah, this was covered last year, actually during the analysis. Both hospitals, Kids First works with both hospitals as well as doctors here in town. I won't name the doctors, just consideration for them, but it's several orthopedic surgeons. Our rural area poses a challenge, as you can well understand, dealing with networks and the like. In speaking to the sales reps, Mr. Burton and I met with them. We even invited athletic director to attend. We really want from him mainly, are we having any issues with the coverage? Because their trainers are the gatekeepers of this insurance. If there's a claim that's filed by a student or for a student in our district, it goes through our athletic department. Even though it may be FFA or debate team or whatever it may be. So if there were issues with the insurance, we would have heard it from our athletic department. And that was one of the things we first needed to know. But yes, I will say that the list of network providers that you've got there really isn't representative of the services being provided for our students.
So they let you go out of network pretty easily?
Yes, ma'am, they do.
At what penalty to the student?
None to the student, none whatsoever.
Okay.
I will say that in speaking, go ahead, I'm going to ask you.
Yeah, and I was saying, we did talk to this man, and then I actually had the benefit, or not benefit, of having a student who got injured and had to have the insurance we use. It's the supplemental, of course, goes over and above whatever we have. Both hospitals, he went to both hospitals here, different procedures, they both, no problems. Houston, at a major knee place, no problem. Tyler, they, no, I mean, there was never, did they even question. You hand them the paper, they fill it out and send it off, they pay it. So, we did talk about some other things that come up during the year about who sends them, and we need to be covered, you know, in case our trainers aren't there, and they said they'll be very glad to work with us in any way, shape, or form. I don't know what the provider list is, but I haven't found any doctors or hospitals that don't accept that insurance, that they'll send it off to anybody, and they make a payment, it doesn't matter who it's from.
You mentioned that you discussed this with our athletic director. I think we have the privilege of having our athletic director with us tonight. Mr. President, may we inquire with him as to if he's ran into any difficulty with this provider?
I don't, where is he? Oh, there he is.
Any issues? Normally, if there's any issues comes to our attention, our athletic trainers make the documentation, time, place, what happened, makes an explanation, and we give them a form that indicates the family interest is first, and our supplements kicks in. We have not had any issue this year, fortunately.
It's kind of odd though, when you look at it, you know, there's nothing about Nacogdoches, that's clear.
My interest would be to see a cost analysis and a breakdown on coverages as it relates to some of the surrounding places that providers, in contrast to the Texas Kids First.
Well, that was
cost and
I know that was done last year. Actually, I wasn't involved in that last year, other than going after the RFP. Dr. Knox and Mrs. Henson did the analysis, the spreadsheet analysis, and that's what was presented to the board last year, covering what you're talking about.
Right.
We're just asking to extend it for just one more year. Next year, you'll be going through that process, that full process again.
I was part of that last year, and they provided the best coverage.
Okay.
Would it be, are we in a time crunch, or could we table this until we could see that report from last year on the comparison?
Or you could maybe look at some new providers as to what they can provide and at what cost.
If we do that, though, we're gonna have to send back out for an RFP and let everybody, and we could do it, but the timing of that, you have to leave it out for a certain amount of time, then we go through the process of looking at them before we make a decision. We don't wanna get into the summer and not have this secondary coverage in place for our kids.
Because your kids are needing it.
Well, what I hear you saying is that even though they have, this is their official provider list, they are very flexible in letting you go out of network and use local providers. It hasn't been a problem, and you're getting satisfactory coverage, is that what I'm hearing
And we
you say?
have to go out next year anyway.
Yeah, every
Yes, ma'am.
2 years.
Why don't I also, if I can get that report, I can send it to the board members in a Friday mail out, so you can see it?
I vaguely remember it. I was just thinking, we do have summer activities.
Yeah.
That's right.
That would
We don't want
require
that.
coverage for our kids, so we don't want to, our policy to lapse.
When is our
and
policy
not have-
lapse?
Yeah, I don't know the dates.
It will be August 1st.
August 1st?
So we're covered till August.
Correct.
But then you get into
So
the fall
how much
sport.
time would it take to get this information or to?
They put out for, probably give that, I think it's 30 days is the minimum that we would do that, to offer for people to come in, then we'd take it, then we would go through the criteria form. We could push it, we can get done June, July.
You're talking about a rebid?
Can we locate
Well, just,
prior?
I don't know if we want to rebid, just kind of see what other providers offer and at what cost.
Right, well, that, yes, that we'd have
So-
to.
I guess my bigger question is why is there Nacogdoches not on, why does Nacogdoches doctors choose not to be on this?
I don't know. I don't understand, I really don't understand why there's a list, because what they'll tell you from the company is you take this sheet in that you get from the trainer, you give that to the hospital or wherever you're at, they'll fill it in, they'll fax it off, and that company sends a check to cover it.
And this coverage is secondary to the family's insurance.
Primary.
So it's, yeah, right.
But now, if a kid doesn't have insurance, it becomes their primary.
It becomes their primary.
As our president said, who knew medicine was so complicated?
Why don't I get the reports that we had from last year
Yeah.
that shows the analysis, and we can share that with y'all? Because we've got all that from last year. I just don't want anything to let, yeah. Why don't we get that?
I'd be interested in to know why.
Why don't we call?
And
And
some
we can do some
Nacogdoches-
research.
I'll talk to you about that.
Okay.
We
Okay.
can get some more information on that and share it with y'all in a Friday mail out if you want.
Sure.
Okay.
I'm surprised Dick got it.
So we can hold that off till the next board meeting? Is that what we're saying?
Sounds like I'll then make a motion that we table this until the next board meeting.
Second the motion?
Okay, all those in favor?
And y'all want more information
Right.
on, okay.
Thank you.
We just don't see Nacogdoches enough on it.
Yeah. Nacogdoches at all.
And there may be another list out there bigger and wider than this one, who knows? Okay.
Okay. And we did pass all the rest of them, so now we're into
Action.
action items. We're now proceeding to action items. All items listed will be discussed and acted upon separately. Our first one is the compensation plan.
Mr. President, I would move that we table action on the compensation plan until after executive session.
Second the motion?
Do we have to have if we table it, do we even have to have a motion? Okay. All those in favor of tabling until after executive session, raise your hand. Okay. we're going to wait for his, I guess we'll wait for his presentation until after executive session also.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, the next item is consideration and board action on
The bids.
bids for Martin renovations.
So we can have discussion, Mr. President. I would move to accept the bid from Cox Contractors in the amount of $247,056, including alternates 1 and 4, contingent on receiving an executed lease agreement from Angelina College for the technical training building.
I'll second.
I have to think for a minute. I'm a ponderer. I think that's okay. I can live with that. You just kind of caught me off guard.
$247,056.
Well, I have to think sometimes. Okay. So, we're going to accept the bid contingent on,
Receiving an executed lease agreement from Angelina College for the technical training building.
did you get that motion?
I did.
Okay. And you seconded it?
Susan second.
I did.
You seconded it. Okay. Now,
Any
just
discussion?
any discussion?
I think Mr. LaRue's got it.
I'm good.
Ready to vote?
For those of us who are joining us or are streaming live, I would like to explain that this is a bid to make renovations to the Martin Center building in order to accommodate our alternate high school. Is that the correct terminology? Alternative high school, which would be moving from the technical training building back to the Martin Center next fall, pending the lease agreement with Angelina College.
Ready for the vote?
Steve?
Ready for the vote?
Ready to vote? All those in favor? Aye. Okay.
Thank you.
Great report.
Good report, Ralph. Good work, though, Ralph. Good work, Ralph.
Okay. Now we're at, y'all are going too fast for me tonight. The agreement for yearbook.
Mr. President, I move that we table the service agreement for yearbook, student agendas, and photo products for middle and elementary schools pending review by the Finance Committee.
Okay.
When does the Finance Committee meet?
We meet every month.
I'm sorry.
And we can meet more often. I mean, we meet every
didn't talk
month.
about it this time.
I'm sorry, we didn't get a second before discussion.
Oh.
Second.
Okay. My only question about this is time. I just know when I was ordering these things, I had to have them in April to be able to. My question is, do they put the student handbook and all those kinds of things in these things now like they used to? And all those things that have to be ready to go, and how far in advance do they have that to be able to have them in for the summer? Be ready for next September.
Well, I happen to have the sales representative here, Mr. Dement, and if I'm incorrect in what I'm saying, you correct me. We really need to place the order in the month of April.
Yes, sir. We're actually holding, it's technically past deadline, we're holding.
And, but we need to get the material into them, as you mentioned a minute ago, not student agenda, the student conduct policy, that,
The handbook.
as well as the the handbook, the calendar, the other information on the campus, to them by the latter part of May.
Right.
Okay? But we need to commit in the month of April. Okay? And like he said, they're probably holding off right now. The committee was, I just want to recognize the committee to the people who are in the room. we had a cross-section of the school district. We had James Allen from Regay Elementary, Sharon Finley, who's here at the District Support Center, but for many years she worked on yearbooks and student photos on the campus. Kristen Morris, Kristen's here. She works with Sharon, but she's also worked on the campuses with yearbooks and student photos, so they had an extensive background in that. Kevin Webb and Tammy Pankritz, who are both here today. No, Tammy's left. But, she and Kevin, as middle school principals, were instrumental in putting together the student planners for the middle school. And then finally, Roxanne Lakin, carpenter at high school now. Each of these people volunteered. We spent 5 meetings, total of 75 man-hours. The spreadsheet that you see attached to it was compiled over a period of time with their help to kind of assist them in making their decision, which they met 3 major meetings, 2 hours each, sometimes longer with each of the vendors. And then they had 1 more meeting, and that was pretty lengthy, about 2 hours, discussing all the ins and outs. They had more questions, which I had to gather information for them on that. And then finally, they had a final meeting. I believe that meeting lasted, was it an hour, James? An hour? And that's when they finally made their final decision. They could have decided to, award the photos to one and the yearbook to another. You see what I'm saying? Or do it as a one package deal. They chose to go with a one package deal. Currently, our student agendas cost us around $18,000, and that's for about 5,000 units. By doing it together, we get a discount of right at $2,000, puts it down to about $16,000. And by the way, something that's kind of been thrown into the mix is the fact that the high school, not relevant out here any longer, but they want to put in a freshman student planner.
Right.
Along the same line as the middle school planner.
Because we want it for that Dragon Academy.
And they are currently working diligently to put the materials together they want in their student agenda for the freshman class. So, yeah, we're kind of under a time crunch, just to let you know.
I understand you may be under a time crunch. I also know that the student planners came to the board last June, because that was probably my first meeting. So I know we must have some time if we did it in June of last year. And I was involved in that discussion last year for this planners. It would have been June. But needless to say, one of
Two of them in the beginning of June.
to get to my question and move on a little bit here, sir. You've put in here that the high school can choose to participate, and you've mentioned that they're wanting to do planners as well. So it sounds like the project has gotten larger. Therefore, it sounds like we've got room to negotiate an even better price. Has that been done?
No, because that was not part of the original RFP. And if I did that, I'd be changing the conditions of going. We're dealing with just sticking within the rules, so to speak.
Sure. Well, have we considered reissuing a new RFP with the expanded purchasing?
Now you get into June. Now you're getting into a real crunch. Okay, just to let you know.
On the spreadsheet here, which one is the one you're recommending?
The one on the far left is what's being recommended by the committee.
Life Touch?
No, is that Interstate on the far left? Or?
Oh, the left, okay. The other right.
Yeah.
And that's the more expensive one?
37,605? Is that the one?
What are you looking at when you say it's the most expensive one?
Well, if I'm reading this correct.
The spreadsheet at the top, if you read the column to the left, what that's telling the committee, this is the committee's worksheet. At the top, it tells them that in the past 2 years, what we have spent with each one of these vendors.
I see, so.
That's not what they're bidding, that's just saying, that's what we've spent as a district with these vendors. That's just giving them some background with each of these vendors. Now, in the case of Patterson Studio, they do a lot of work with our parents. So we don't actually spend. that
Right,
on
those are the
parent side.
senior
Yes, ma'am.
picture, yeah.
Same way with Life Touch. We may have bought yearbooks through them, but as far as the photos are concerned, that's bought by the parents. Okay? I'm just strictly reporting what we as a district expect with each of these companies.
And I'd like to have a little bit more time to dig into this at the
I don't
committee level,
understand, yeah.
because this, I think we've got lots of questions.
Well,
Could I suggest,
I have a real question, too. Why is this even coming to the board? It's only $16,000. I'm wondering why it even came to the board.
Well, one reason it did is because Dr. Knox spring of last year had told the board that they would be coming back to you with the possibility of doing this. You are correct, it is under 25,000. When we started this, we were at 10.
what I would like to suggest or ask, or maybe even recommend, that even if it doesn't come to the board, I would like for it to be reviewed by the budget committee,
Well,
if that's in line.
I say, I'm of the belief this is an administrative decision. This is not a board-level decision, but
Can I ask
I'm just
something here?
one vote.
Pam, have you heard some things that are concerns with it that I don't know?
I feel like if you're bringing this to us, then it needs more discussion.
Okay. I'm trying to read between that. Okay. My concern for this is that it is a time crunch. I know that the campuses need those documents when you start school. So I've just got to be assured that, I'm looking at principals shaking their head at me right now, and I know we definitely want them for the Dragon Academy 101, which is new for freshmen next year, because that's going to be their organizer and so forth for that class. So
I would suggest that we've, at the moment, got a motion to table the item pending review by Finance Committee. If you determine not to bring this back to us, that would be an administrative, in your sight, that just tables the item for action tonight, is what it would do.
Okay. All right. I can talk to you later.
If everybody's comfortable with it.
You won't have a finance committee to, well, I guess you would after the board.
So it won't come to us, it'll go to the budget.
It'd be at the discretion of the superintendent.
be at the discretion of the superintendent.
I'm good with that.
Okay,
We'll make the motion, Pam.
It's made and seconded.
let's vote.
I'll second that now.
Susan already seconded.
Seconded? Okay.
All right, those in favor of tabling it and letting Ms. Dowdy determine what she wants to do with it, say aye. Okay.
Okay, thank you, and I'll get back to the Finance Committee on that.
I'm going to abstain.
I know.
All the finance committee.
You
Okay.
want to abstain, Steve?
I voted.
Zeke.
Oh,
Zeke is
you
abstaining.
abstained?
I am.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm on, yeah. This is my last go around.
Administrative, this is, the next thing is the action item to set up a rezoning committee.
Yeah.
Mr.
You wanna
President,
start?
yeah, I'll
Okay.
make a motion here. Y'all ready? Mr. President, I move to create a special committee to be known as the District Rezoning Committee with the mission of recommending possible redistricting plans to the board for consideration, including but not limited to, number one, a district-wide plan, redistricting plan to ensure equity in socioeconomic and racial demographics at elementary and middle schools, and two, a fallback redistricting plan should the TEA require the district to close and/or reconfigure the Carpenter Elementary campus after the 2017-18 school year. The committee shall report its recommendations to the board no later than February 2018. Members shall be appointed to the District Rezoning Committee by the board at its regular May meeting.
You've thought that through, hadn't you?
Oh, I asked for it to be on the agenda.
Let me throw this one in there, okay? We've got to think
We
carefully.
need a second before we can
Before
move
you
to
discuss.
discussion.
Is that all a motion?
Yep.
That's quite a bit. Let's chew it. Let me go back and,
Multiple sentences?
can we condense it?
don't know, maybe Kelly can figure out a way to condense it.
Well, can I make a motion that we table that to after closed session?
It's up
Okay.
to the president.
Well, you're still
Well,
waiting on a
we can't
second.
discuss that in closed session because it's not on the executive committee, so I think
Maybe we
executive.
can-
Unless there are legal
We can
issues
bring it back
pertaining to
after.
it, but, I mean, if it's a timing issue that you just want to do closed session first and then come back, that's fine. If you're just
It's a time.
reorganizing the order of how you
Well, that
address
give-
things on the agenda.
Give us time to,
If you're wanting to talk about it in closed session, it would just be if you have a legal issue pertaining to the rezoning. But substantively,
I just need
it
to
would not be
discuss it.
appropriate
It's
for
not
a closed
legal.
session discussion.
Okay.
it's not what?
It's not legal. I just need to discuss it and whenever y'all second it.
Go ahead and second it, Susan.
Second. Okay.
Okay.
What I want to talk about for a moment is that.
Before you do that, do
Okay.
you have the motion, Holly?
I missed.
I
Can you
I
read?
can give it to you.
I'm a pretty good motion catcher.
I can give it to you.
Should we give it to her?
And I've got what Pam is saying, because there's,
I think I understood what you were getting.
Yeah,
I
and-
understood the gist of it.
Yeah.
and it's dealing with all
I'm
the
a
stuff that we,
ponderer, though.
I understand.
that we're dealing with the TEA. It involves all the stuff we're dealing with the TEA. I just want to say that in doing this, we've got to be very careful again. I always stress to get careful because I know that the Finance Committee, you know, we've been, Finance and the Facility Committee and everybody we've been talking about, we've got to have a long-range vision for the district. It can't be just for the moment, which it seems like right now we're doing. But we've got to have a long-range vision. So what I don't want to do, here I go preaching again about movement, but I don't want to do is come in and say, let's shuffle. I want to try to keep it minimal so we don't move kids again and unsettle them and everything, because I want some consistency and not a lot of issues right now, because we want these scores to improve. But we've got to look at what comes first. We've got to look at a vision and say, before we just shuffle the kids in rezoning, only to do it another year later, because we may be looking at facility changes or something like that. So we've got to look at what comes first and do it in an order that makes sense, okay? Because I don't want to undo something we just did because we didn't look at the vision. Got that?
Agreed.
Okay.
Agreed.
Because we have to have a contingency plan. We do. Yeah.
Okay.
And in layman's terms, that's exactly what I'm trying to achieve here.
Did I say it a different way?
Yeah, in layman's terms, creating a district rezoning committee that will be comprised both of staff
Right.
and citizens to basically do
It's a
was
big,
about a 9-month study to bring it back, recommendations to this board in February of next year that we could consider on how to improve. This is all in the vein of helping improve our district and getting our schools out of IR status.
that's right.
But having that contingency plan in place, should we
Have to.
if TEA
Right.
gives us a mandate that
That
we have to
do
make
something.
a significant campus change, we will have
By
the
August
planning ready.
2018. Yeah, like they
Correct.
stated.
I like
And-
that.
And the other thing I'm just going to say too, in that vision, we've got to consider facilities, we've got to consider a long-range vision for all of that, plus we've got to also talk about bilingual ESL. It's a huge component in the district that when we start studying this, I will explain how that affects the bilingual ESL program. So it's a lot of components to it to make it right for our kids and to make it makes sense, so we don't start jumping and changing every year, yeah, okay? We've got the same plan, it's
Yes.
just, we know it's just not easy, okay? It's got to have a lot of thought put into
A
it.
lot of thought.
Yeah.
Okay. That brings us to,
Well, we
need
haven't
to
voted.
vote.
no, we got to vote, excuse me. I'm trying to stay up on the agenda here. All those in favor of her motion, what, that you have,
That long motion.
I'll send it to you, Holly.
raise your right hand. Okay.
Vote 27.
The board will now conduct an executive session, closed session to discuss items posted on the agenda pursuant to the following provisions of the Texas Open Meetings Act as allowed by Texas Government Code Section 551.071 and 551.074 and 551.129. No voting will take place in closed meeting. Any actions the board wishes to take as a result of discussion in closed session will take place after the board reconvenes in open session. It is now 8:12. 8:11, excuse me, 8:11.
Yeah, y'all stay.
Tell them we'll be back at 8:45.
Damn, y'all.
Who is that?
That's
21. We're back in session. Do I have any motions?
Yes, I move to approve administration's recommendation for one-year administrator contracts as presented.
Second the motion.
All those in favor? Would you like to introduce this?
Michael, would you like to introduce?
Sure.
Yes, sir. Come over here, actually. That'd be great.
Was it 1 year?
It is my distinct honor and pleasure to introduce to the board tonight and the community the new principal for Lake Moses Middle School, Mr. Stephen Autry.
Thank you very much. I didn't prepare much of a speech, but my wife and I were very, very excited to be here. We put a lot of thought into wanting to come to a community where things are growing as we watched all the scores and a close-knit community. And we can't tell you how excited we are to be here, and how excited our children are to be dragons, so they don't have to be bears anymore. I have a little girl that is so excited to be a dragon, you can't even imagine. So she can't wait to get her first t-shirt. But thank y'all very much, and we're excited to be a part of the community. We'll see all of you soon.
I know a place where you can get a dragon shirt.
Yes, we do.
I will probably need several.
And Linda, I want to introduce Linda. Just a second, Michael. You want to okay.
Yes, ma'am.
That is no problem.
Since she's here.
I would also like to introduce the new Director of Advanced Academics for the district and wife to Mr. Autry, Mrs. Linda Autry.
Thank you all very much for this opportunity. I would just want to echo Stephen's sentiments that we are very excited to come here to contribute to the school district and to the community. We love small towns. We've spent some time in Nacogdoches vacationing before, and we are very excited to make our home here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. President, I move that we approve the 2017-18 compensation plan as presented.
I second the motion.
Okay, any discussion? Okay, all those in favor? Okay.
Mr. President, I move to approve the employment of teachers and professional personnel as recommended by administration.
Second?
All those in favor? Or do we need no discussion? All those in favor? Okay.
Mr. President, I move to approve the administration recommendation for multiple year administrative contracts as presented.
A second?
Okay. All those in favor? I may have introduced him at the wrong time.
May have.
I think I introduced you at the wrong time. Huh?
You were right on time.
Well, I think you're on that list.
Is that it?
Okay.
No, we have
Yes.
one more.
One more. Mr. President, I move to accept the superintendent's recommendation to propose non-renewal of the term contract of Gerald Anton, and that the superintendent prepare for the board's president's signature a final notice of proposed non-renewal of term contract to be delivered to the employee no later than the 10th day before the last day of instruction in this current school year.
I second the motion.
All those in favor?
Is that it?
Don't we have some
No.
resignations?
That's it.
No, doesn't go to the board.
Not yet.
Okay.
I move we be adjourned.
Okay. Why did we not do resignation?
That's right.
We never
She just
do-
said that.
We only do
Yeah.
resignation.